Nate had always been curious about the mysterious shop that sat just off campus. Its sign read Vishnu's in intricate gold lettering, and the windows were always foggy with condensation, making it impossible to see inside. Still, the rumors about the shop's eccentric owner, Mr. Keaton, and his allegedly magical items kept Nate's curiosity piqued. One day, Nate decided to investigate. As he entered the shop, Nate couldn't help but notice the eclectic mix of items on display. There were colorful scarves and incense burning, books on astrology and Eastern spirituality, statues of Hindu deities, and shelves upon shelves of unique jewelry. Behind the counter, a tall, imposing figure with wild gray hair and a bushy beard regarded Nate with an intense gaze. "This must be Mr. Keaton," Nate thought. "Welcome," Mr. Keaton said in a deep, gravelly voice. "I'm afraid I don't get many customers in here. You're probably looking for something specific." Nate hesitated, unsure how much he wanted to reveal. "Just browsing," he replied. Mr. Keaton nodded sympathetically. "Well, take your time. You might find something special." He gestured towards a shelf stocked with various bangles and bracelets. "Those are popular with the college girls. My wife makes them herself." Nate couldn't resist the urge to pick up one of the bangles. It felt surprisingly heavy in his hand, like it was made of some dense, high-quality metal. Suddenly, Nate heard a slight jingling sound coming from the entrance of the shop. Mr. Keaton glanced up, seemingly annoyed, and excused himself to attend to the customer. While Mr. Keaton was distracted, Nate found himself drawn back to the bangle. He held it up to the light, admiring how it seemed to shift colors in the sunbeams filtering through the dusty windows. Without warning, Nate felt a peculiar sensation emanating from the bangle. A warmth began to spread up his arm, creeping over his shoulder and down his torso. Within moments, the sensation enveloped his entire body. At first, Nate didn't recognize the sound of his own voice. It was higher-pitched, almost melodic, and bore a hint of an Indian accent. Looking down, he discovered that his hands were no longer his own. They had transformed into those of an Indian girl, complete with elegantly manicured nails and henna designs tracing up the length of his arms. Confusion turned to shock as Nate beheld his new form reflected in the full-length mirror leaning against the wall. His broad shoulders had diminished, giving way to feminine curves and a tiny waist. Long, flowing black hair cascaded down his back, and his features had changed to resemble those of an exotic Bollywood starlet. Incredibly, he still recognized his own eyes staring back at him, wide with wonder and unease. In the midst of this metamorphosis, Mr. Keaton returned, a look of satisfaction etched on his face. "Ah, my dear, you've finally come." Dazed, Nate managed a weak protest. "What have you done to me?"